My name is Michelle, and I'm 39. I'm married to my husband, Chris. We decided not to have children, so after work and chores are done, we have plenty of free time. I was happy living a life focused on our time together, just the two of us. But then I realized this marriage was a mistake.
It's only 11, and it's already pretty crowded, you know?
Since this place was featured on TV last week, it's been packed. Today's my day off, so I decided to go out with Mom for the first time in a while. Since Dad passed away last year, Mom lives alone back home, so I occasionally invite her out. We picked up our food, and while eating, I glanced around and noticed something odd. Sitting at the table next to us were my husband, Chris, his mistress, Emily, and their child, Bill. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but Chris was wearing the same clothes he had on this morning.
When are you getting divorced?
Emily asked Chris with a smile. I took another quick look, and sure enough, it was definitely him. This can't be happening. Is this real? As I sat there, quietly stunned, my mom noticed Chris too.
Wait, isn't that Chris sitting next to us?
Looks like it. When I answered, Chris noticed us and locked eyes with me, looking surprised. He quickly pulled his hat down low, trying to cover his face. Even though we'd already made eye contact, he was still trying desperately to hide.
What's wrong with you? Did something happen? Why would you keep a hat on while eating? It's just in the way.
Well, it's just my head's feeling a bit cold.
Daddy, you're acting weird. Daddy's being silly.
We're eating, so quiet down.
He mumbled something nonsensical about his head being cold. Bill, sitting across from Chris, was calling him Daddy, while Chris tried to hush him as he giggled and chattered away.
Your head's cold? Maybe it's because you had the fan on too much the other day? Or was it because you left your stomach exposed after your shower and kept sticking the fan in your pants?
Emily, could you keep it down a little?
What?
It's just my head's cold and I can't think straight.
Once Chris noticed me and my mom, his conversation with Emily and Bill became a complete mess. He was desperately trying to downplay his relationship with Emily and keep it hidden. Then suddenly, another woman walked over.
Chris, what are you doing here? Didn't you cancel our plans today because you said you were going on a business trip?
It seemed Chris didn't have just one mistress, but two. He had run into his other mistress, Sarah, purely by chance.
Who is this woman?
When Sarah confronted him, Chris turned pale.
She's a business associate.
What? Then why is there a kid here?
What are you talking about? I'm Chris's girlfriend.
Excuse me? I'm Chris's only girlfriend.
A showdown began between Chris and Sarah, and also between Emily and Sarah. My mom and I watched the entire scene in silence.
What is going on here?
What is going on here?
So you're telling me I'm not the only mistress?
Not the only one. I've been with Chris since he was in college.
What is happening here?
The women grabbed Chris by his shirt collar, shaking him back and forth while shouting at him.
So, counting Michelle, that makes 3 women you're involved with.
As Chris was being shaken around, he finally spoke up.
All 3 of you, you're all important to me.
What?
What kind of nonsense is that? You told me you were going to divorce Michelle, and we even have Bill.
Didn't you say you'd marry me by next year? So this whole time, you've just been lying to me.
Pick one of us right here, right now.
Make up your mind here and now.
There's no way I can choose just one. All 3 of you are important to me, and I want to be with all of you.
To sum it up, Chris, my husband, has 2 mistresses despite being married to me. He's been with Sarah since his college days and with Emily for a few years now. He even has a hidden child, Bill, with Emily, who's about 3 years old. Chris says he can't choose just one because we're all important to him. No matter how you look at it, it's a ridiculous story. After eavesdropping on Chris's conversation with the women, I finally grasped the situation. Once their argument settled down, I spoke up to Chris. Enough of pretending you don't know what's going on. I banged on the table and stood there, crossing my arms and glaring at Chris.
No way.
The women looked stunned at the sight of the wife making an entrance.
Wait. No way.
Ooh, Michelle.
Yes, I'm Chris's wife, Michelle.
Michelle, there's an explanation for this.
An explanation? And what exactly would justify being involved with 3 women while you have a wife? I replied with a smile, and Chris started trembling. The 2 women also turned pale at my sudden appearance. At this point, I think I understand pretty well what's going on. I get what you both want, and I see what Chris wants as well. Considering all of this, I'll take some time to think things over. As his wife, I'll decide what's best for everyone so that we can find a solution that makes everyone happy. Please give me some time. With that, Mom and I left, ignoring the sweat-drenched Chris and letting him contemplate the fate that awaited him.
Still, it's hard to believe something like this could happen in real life. It's like a soap opera.
Mom said this on the drive home. I mean, having my husband, his mistress, and their secret child sit right next to us in a restaurant? Even I had to do a double take.
But you're calmer than I expected, Michelle.
Well, I had to be. I've ignored it for long enough, but it's clear now he needs to face some consequences. I'm done being patient. This time, I absolutely won't let it slide. This wasn't the first time Chris had cheated. In fact, I'd seen him out with other women more than once while out with Mom. It wasn't just once. Each time, it was a different woman. He'd be out during work hours in casual clothes, making it obvious they weren't clients or business associates. But Chris doesn't know that Mom and I saw him. Once we got home, we discussed things and prepared for the right moment.
I'm home.
Chris cautiously opened the door, returning late at night. In a small voice, he switched on the living room light. After everything that happened during the day, he must have dreaded coming home, judging by how late he returned. The next second, despite the hour, Chris's scream echoed through the house. Mom and I, waiting for his return, headed into the living room. There, sitting on the sofa, were Chris's parents, George and Victoria, waiting for him. It was clear from one look that the 3 of them were about to face off. After returning home, I told George and Victoria everything about today. Upon hearing my story, they rushed over, ready to confront him.
Why are Dad and Mom here?
Just sit down.
Okay.
Unable to bring himself to sit on the sofa, Chris sat down on the floor instead. He seemed to realize that his parents had come because of what happened today. Nothing had even started yet, and his face was already pale.
Why do you think we're here? Do you really have no idea?
George looked at Chris with a sharp gaze.
Chris, do you understand what you've done?
Victoria also pressed him for an answer.
You owe Michelle and her mother an apology. You need to explain to everyone exactly what's going on, in your own words.
As your wife, I'm the one who wants to hear it most. Can you tell us in your own words?
That's right. You betrayed your family. Explain why you hurt Michelle.
With everyone pressing him, Chris finally began to speak.
I just can't stop cheating.
What?
I mean, I think Michelle is great, but every woman I see out there just looks so attractive to me. You know, guys choose based on looks, right? So I met Emily and Sarah, and we hit it off and still get along. But I do care about Michelle, and I love her.
Apparently, he believes he's naturally prone to cheating and can't help but find other women attractive. He met Emily and Sarah randomly, chose them based on looks, started cheating, and is still involved with both. Hold on, what are you even saying? This is way beyond getting along. Cheating alone would be bad enough, but having a secret child on top of it? Just because you get along doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. First of all, you're married to me. Are you even sorry for cheating and having a secret child?
Well, I met Sarah back in college, so she was before you, and I got to know Emily before we were married. But after I met you, Michelle, you were so devoted that I knew I had to marry you. Right after our wedding, I found out that Emily was pregnant, so the timing's off. I really don't think anyone's to blame here.
To sum it up, Chris met Sarah back in his college days, so she was in his life before me. He got close to Emily before deciding to marry me, which essentially makes me the last woman he got involved with. But once we started dating, I was the most supportive, so he decided I'd be his wife. However, by that time, Emily was already carrying his child. Chris says he only found out about the pregnancy after our wedding. According to him, the timing of meeting each woman, getting married, and learning about the pregnancy was all slightly off. I simply can't understand the chaos in Chris's way of thinking. Of course, someone's at fault here. You've been cheating the entire time. While dating me, after we got engaged, and even after we were married. And now I find out you've had a secret child this whole time? If you hadn't irresponsibly juggled relationships, none of this tragedy would have happened. Don't you get that?
You're 45 years old. How can you be so irresponsible?
We obviously made mistakes in raising you, Chris. What's going on in that head of yours? I just don't understand.
Everyone sighed in frustration after hearing Chris's excuse. Seeing our reactions, Chris dropped yet another bombshell.
Wait, hold on. Why is everyone sighing? I never once said I hated Michelle, did I? I told you, I still love Michelle. Sure, I was surprised about the secret child, but he's here now, so we just have to accept it, right? I have no intention of divorcing Michelle, and I'll just send Emily money as child support. Besides, Michelle and I don't have kids, so having one out there isn't a big deal, right?
No, it's not normal. Also, I remember Emily and Sarah both mentioned at the restaurant that you had promised to marry them.
Oh, maybe they did say that, but that was only because they kept pushing me to leave Michelle. They kept bringing up marriage every time we met, so I just told them we'd marry someday to quiet them down. It was more like a performance, if you want to put it simply. I'm not planning on divorcing Michelle at all, so you can relax.
Everyone was left in stunned silence at his words. Even his parents, George and Victoria, looked at him as if he were some kind of monster. My mom, who raised me, was furious at the way her daughter was being hurt so unfairly. I realized I had married a truly awful man. While he seemed gentle and kind at home, once he was outside, he was a shameless man constantly scouting for attractive women besides his wife. Though I can't forgive the mistresses either, they at least seemed genuinely invested in him. But Chris, oblivious to the pain he causes, is nothing short of a monster.
America is so behind the times. If we allowed polygamy here, like some other countries, there'd be no need for these arguments. Don't you agree, Michelle?
I figured you were pretty crazy. Do you ever consider that your actions might be hurting someone? Your thinking is so ridiculous. I'm just speechless.
Why? I mean, Michelle, you're cute, and they're beautiful too, right? America has so many attractive women. Doesn't it seem impossible to pick only one and stay with them for life? Wouldn't you like to date a bunch of good-looking guys too? Both men and women should feel free to date whoever they find attractive. I'm just ahead of the curve here. When it's the norm, everyone's life will be amazing.
I understood that the man I married was a complete jerk. But at this point, nothing I said would get through to Chris. Instead, he's shamelessly insisting that he's just pioneering a shift toward polygamy. Sorry, but I don't understand anything you're saying. I want a divorce, so please sign this. I told Chris I couldn't understand him and handed him the divorce papers. But with his messed up way of thinking, Chris refused to agree.
No way.
What?
I already told you, I'm not divorcing you. I want to be with you, Michelle, and spend my life with you. But I'm not leaving Emily or Sarah either, and I'll keep things the way they are. I'll pay child support for Bill, so that's handled, right? And I might end up with even more girlfriends. In countries where polygamy is legal, it's common for a man to have dozens of wives and kids. I think America is going to become a polygamous country too, and I'm going to help make that happen. I'll be part of changing America. So, Michelle, stop worrying and just trust me.
Chris showed absolutely no intention of agreeing to a divorce. He sounded like he thought he was some kind of politician, set on leading America toward legalized polygamy. It looked like he was justifying his cheating, embracing his shameless behavior as something visionary. The thought of being married to a man this delusional made me feel sick. I realized there are people in this world whose behavior surpasses anything you could imagine. Just then, the quiet room erupted with shouts.
That's all you have to say? Feel better now. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Are you even sane? Have you lost your mind?
This is America, not some foreign country. Polygamy isn't legal here. Wake up.
George and Victoria both argued back at Chris. To an outsider, it's obvious, and George and Victoria seem almost pitiful. The fact that they're having to explain to their 45-year-old married son that polygamy isn't legal in America is so absurd, it's almost laughable. Like they said, America doesn't permit polygamy, so unfortunately, we'll be divorcing. You should end your affairs immediately and take responsibility by focusing on Emily and Bill.
What a foolish man. I'm at a loss for words. This goes beyond any parenting mistake. Chris, has anyone ever checked for mental issues in your evaluations?
Nothing unusual came up when he was a kid, but this kind of behavior does make you wonder if it's some sort of mental disorder.
Maybe he should see a psychiatrist.
They're saying Chris's behavior is so abnormal that he needs to see a therapist. They're even discussing whether he should just be taken to a mental health clinic or admitted to a psychiatric hospital.
I'm not going to a psychiatrist. I'm perfectly fine. I'm not mentally ill.
But if we leave you like that, you may scold women in the streets and make more mistresses.
Knowing that, we can't allow you to continue your marriage with Michelle, nor can we trust you out in public in this state.
As they said this, my mom, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke up.
How dare you hurt Michelle like this, after all I did to raise her? How could you treat my daughter this way? You're refusing to divorce her, refusing to leave your mistresses, and acting like everything will be fine just because you'll pay child support? Where do you think that money will come from if things stay as they are? And if you want more mistresses, then go live in a country where polygamy is legal. That way, American women won't have to become your prey.
My mom, who rarely raised her voice, was now yelling at Chris. I'd never seen her this angry, not even with my late dad. It made me realize just how important I was to her. I don't have children, but just imagining the situation in reverse fills me with a rage that would never let me forgive someone like Chris. My mom grabbed a cushion from the sofa, threw it straight at Chris's face, then picked it up and started hitting him with it.
Ouch! Stop it!
Apologize to Michelle. Divorce her right now.
As she yelled, she continued hitting Chris, while George and Victoria, fed up with him, made no move to intervene. Chris tried desperately to defend himself, but my mom's fury, on behalf of her hurt daughter, was even stronger than mine. The next moment, her fist landed squarely on his face. Chris went flying back toward the window, with blood now dripping from his nose.
What just happened?
In his dazed state, he seemed clueless about what had just hit him. It all made sense. Mom used to be a professional boxer. She was a pro boxer.
Really?
And believe it or not, she's still holding back.
Apologize to Michelle immediately and divorce her right now. Otherwise, next time, I won't hold back at all.
With that, she clenched her fist, taking a boxing stance. Chris's face turned pale as he saw her poised to strike again.
I'm sorry. I scared Michelle and hurt her. I'm so sorry. It was my fault for cheating. Please forgive me.
Sign the divorce papers Michelle gave you.
Yes. I'll sign right away. Just wait.
After his apology, he followed her orders and signed the divorce papers. I took them from him, signing them myself on the spot to complete everything. The papers are done, so by tomorrow, we're strangers.
I understand.
Seeing the completed divorce papers, Chris finally accepted the end of our marriage. We're divorcing, but you better take responsibility for Emily, Sarah, and all the other women you've messed around with. It's not just the two mistresses, right?
What?
I've seen you with other women before, not just today.
Oh no.
I kept quiet, but my mom and I have caught you cheating multiple times. Mom landed another punch, leaving Chris looking completely dazed. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It was 1:30 in the morning.
Who could that be at this hour?
Chris looked uneasy, glancing nervously at the door. I went to answer it and brought in our final special guests for the evening. In front of Chris, alongside Emily and Sarah, now stood 8 other women, each glaring at him with piercing eyes. On our way out of the restaurant earlier, I'd slipped Sarah a note with my number and address. She contacted me once I got home, and I arranged for them to meet after Chris's return.
These are your 10 mistresses. Care to explain what's going on here?
So, you told me there were only 2, but it turns out you had 8 more besides Michelle. And all of them work with you, either directly or as clients. It didn't take long to contact them. Weren't I supposed to be your number one? Liar.
Wait, please.
I'll never forgive you. Give me back all the money I spent on you. Who knew you could juggle 11 women? This guy is every woman's worst enemy.
Chris was surrounded, shoved, and berated by all 10 of his mistresses. So much for polygamy and finding attractive women on the street. They were all from his office or client contacts. It confirmed he was nothing but a cheating, womanizing jerk.
Please, just listen to me. Just give me 2 minutes.
Chris begged, but his pleas were drowned out as the women continued to crowd around him. After all the deception, it seemed fitting that no one wanted to listen. By the time they were done with him, Chris's face was swollen and bruised, with a steady stream of blood from his nose.
What do we do with him now?
Dump him in the ocean?
Isn't that too easy?
Maybe we should expose him on social media.
I won't be satisfied without getting some alimony.
We should report him to his workplace and get him fired.
Leaving a guy like this free is dangerous.
Or we could just hire a hitman.
The mistresses were each discussing how to deal with Chris. Hearing their conversation, Chris turned pale and began trembling uncontrollably. Reaping what you sow. By the way, even after our divorce, you won't have a penny left to your name.
Why?
Because the apartment, car, and all the savings are in my name. So I'll be throwing you out with nothing. Just then, George and Victoria stepped forward. As the 10 mistresses and I stepped aside, George and Victoria stood directly in front of Chris, glaring at him. Their eyes held not the look of parents toward a son, but the cold gaze one reserves for a criminal.
You are a disgrace to our family.
We didn't raise you to be this way.
We're cutting all ties with you. You're a grown man. Take responsibility for your actions.
You're beyond help.
Wait, Dad and Mom, please. Calm down. You're my parents, right? Are you really going to abandon your son?
This is beyond abandonment. You're 45. You have a family. And yet you betrayed Michelle, us, and hurt all these women. Who did that?
I said I'm sorry. I've learned my lesson. I'm sorry.
Too late. If you had truly changed, there's no way you'd be juggling 11 women. We can't keep someone like you in this family. But as your parents, there is one last thing we'll do for you.
What are you going to do?
Victoria, hold his hand.
Got it.
And everyone, we'll need your help. Please hold his legs.
Yes.
Stop. What are you doing? Let me go. Stop it.
With Chris struggling and shouting, everyone held him down as George quickly tied up his hands and feet.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
There's a mental health facility open late, so we're taking you there.
Don't blame us. If you're angry, be angry with yourself.
If we let you go now, there's no telling what you'd do to Michelle or these women. Letting you live a normal life again would be an insult to everyone you've hurt, and it's likely you'd only hurt more people.
Believe me, I swear I'll never cheat again.
No, you're not trustworthy. This entire situation proves it. As the parents who brought you into this world, we have to take responsibility and make sure you don't cause any more trouble for everyone here.
If you get a second chance in life, try being born in a country where polygamy's legal. Sorry we brought you into the world here in America.
With that, George and Victoria, along with everyone's help, loaded the restrained Chris into the back seat of the car and drove away. Chris hurt you all with his constant lies.
We're the ones who should apologize for hurting you, Michelle.
Thanks to you, we finally got our revenge on Chris.
With words of gratitude, the 10 mistresses said their goodbyes and left. With help from my mom, Chris's parents, and, unexpectedly, the mistresses, my revenge was complete. The next day, the divorce with Chris was finalized. I was able to claim alimony through my lawyer. Initially, I considered asking the mistresses for compensation too, but seeing their remorse and understanding they'd been victims as well, I decided against it. George and Victoria apologized and even contributed additional compensation. Chris, left with no choice but to work to pay the alimony, was demoted at his job after I exposed his affairs at the office, and he was reassigned to do menial tasks. I heard he now works quietly, shamed and humiliated. The 10 mistresses all left the company, and I have no idea what happened to them afterward. Since then, I've continued to enjoy lunch outings with my mom. I watch other families with a skeptical eye, wondering if they're truly as close as they seem. For now, I've put marriage out of my mind and plan to savor the freedom of being single for a while. With the alimony I received from Chris, I've decided to take my mom on a relaxing trip overseas.